Father's Day. My father left us when I turned 4, like around the age 4 or 5. Pretty sure it was 4. But it's really hard for me to talk about this. But let's get into this. So my dad and my mom were together for about 19 years, from what Dave told me, right? They raised my brother, they had my sister, and then they had me. Um, but he left us like at the age of, we were like, I was 4. My brothers are a little bit older than me. They're about 6 to 12 years older than me. Each one of us, 3 of us. Um, he They were together for quite some time. My mom said that when they first met, he had a lot of good intentions. You know what I mean? He was a good guy. Um, he was very uh, he was very nice to her. Era detallista. But as time went on, he was a drinker. My mom was a drinker. But he never knew how to behave under the the influence of alcohol. Era bien pedo. De lo que me dicen, ¿verdad? Entonces, um, I lived very little time with him. It was, I remember episodes in my life as I would go visit him once in a while. But I remember one of the last times that I had seen him when I was 4 years old. Um, he used to beat on my mom. You know what I mean? He used to argue with her. He used to do stuff to her that no man should be doing, right? So they got into this fight. From what I can remember, we used to live on Grimes, and I don't know why this story has always stayed in my what is it called, it in my memory. You know what I mean, in my mind. But I can remember it. They started arguing, and I remember there used to be a lady that used to take care of me when I was younger. My mom would go to work, and then my dad wouldn't be around, and my sister would go to school, my brother would go to school, or you know what I mean. He was already older, so this lady would take care of me. Let's say this is Grimes Street, and this is our house. The lady would live right across from us, and it was an older lady. And I remember she would make me some sandwiches, those cheese sandwiches. They were really good. She really was really good at it. That was like a cool treat that I remember. I don't remember the lady's name, but I remember she used to take care of me when my mom would go to work. Entonces, one of these days that they were arguing, this was one of the last times that I had seen my dad. Um, I don't know what happened, but they went and dropped me off there at the lady's house, and so um, me and the lady were right there, and I remember playing or whatever, but I kept hearing stuff like my parents fighting or whatever, and so curiosity just got me, and I remember I was outside in the backyard, in the lady's backyard, but in that backyard there was a wall, like a little 5 foot wall or whatever, right? And in that wall there was like, I put like a step stool or whatever, and so that step stool, I got on top of it, and I was able to see like the wall it was like a rock wall, like the rock and cement wall. It was like right here to me, right? And I was like, that washando. And I would see across my house, right? Because I was like, well, why am I over here? My mom and my dad are right there. And so, from what I know, is that they were arguing and they ended up breaking up right there and then. And I believe it was my sister that called the cops on him because he was, I believe, hitting my mom. And so I remember him getting on a bike because he used to drive a little bike or whatever around there. And I remember he grabbed the bike, and when he got out of the door, because he was all mad, got on the bike and he left. Boom, he ended up leaving. And then a good hour later, I want to say, or a good 30 minutes later, the cops get there. Nothing happens, but he ends up leaving. And that was probably one of the last times I had ever seen him, right? Um, but getting back to the subject, to the topic at hand, which is Father's Day. Um, as a kid, I always wished that I had a dad. I wish that my dad was there. I always was like, damn man, my dad. Um, Although my mom is a great mom to this day. Um, as a kid, you don't realize how much a dad means to you. You know what I mean? And so there was a lot of times in my life as a kid that I started missing like my dad. I mean, I'd be at basketball games and my mom would be at work. My brothers were already older than me, so they were doing their own thing, and it's times like that where you're like, damn, where's my dad? You know what I mean? I wish he was there to help me or whatever, right? So I started getting a lot of resentment towards him as I got older, and after that, I think I saw him like when I was like 12 or 13, when my grandpa passed away. My grandpa passed away when I was like 13. Um, One of the few times that I saw my grandpa, he was a good man. And my grandpa was totally different from my dad. They weren't the same individuals. Um, my dad has always been a rowdy type of person, uneducated, very ignorant, very street like mentality. And my grandpa was more of a laid back person. He would talk to me, he would tell me stories, stuff like that. Um, but as I got older, I started to realize like he's not gonna be around. My dad's not gonna be around. I would go to football games, I would go to any type of event that I would be in, and he was never there. He never saw me play. And I always wished that he would, you know what I mean? A lot of my family never saw me actually play. I believe they went like a good 3, 4 times, I'm assuming. But he was always missing. And so my rage towards him when I was a teenager was almost as bad as hating, you know what I mean? And it's hard for me to use that word because it's hard for me to hate somebody. Like if I don't fuck with you, I don't fuck with you. If I don't like you, I don't like you. But for me to hate you, it's got to be something, you know what I mean? Something that burned me, that hurt me in my soul, that I'm like, I hate you. And I think I was there with him, you know what I mean? I really found hate in this relationship, and the times that I would see him, he was very like, oh, I'm your dad, and you gotta love me and shit like that. And I was like, you've never earned that love, you know what I mean? And so I resented them. I resented that for him for that for a long time. And back when I was younger, one of the times that we did go see him because he used to live in, well, he still lives in Juarez. We went to go see him, and his attitude was just garbage. Like he played things off as if nothing had happened. He needed to he never said I'm sorry for not being a good dad. Up to this date, he hasn't said anything like that. Um, but in my mind, I'm like, damn, what kind of fucking asshole can you be to leave your kids just for like just like whatever, you know what I mean? Dejarlos regados or whatever. Like, what kind of person does that? What kind of person does that shit? And so, as I got older, and I started realizing that I was gonna be, you know what I mean, in a relationship that, you know what I mean, that there's possibilities that I was gonna have a kid. I was like, fuck that. Like, I told myself I'm never gonna have a kid until I find the right woman that I know is gonna take care of my kid, no matter if I'm there or not. But also, I'm not gonna have a kid till I'm ready to be there for that child. And what I mean by that, it's not money. It's not that, oh, just to have them. You know what I mean? No. Like, I was never. I told myself, never have a kid, a baby, until you're ready to make that commitment to stay there in his life or her life forever. It's not just, oh, you know what I mean, up to 4 years old and get the fuck out of there and see him once in a while. So I told myself that, and I promised myself that. So as life went on, I found I never had that male role model. I never had that dad, but I started finding male role models um, through other people, through coaches, to some of my friends' dads, and I started watching them and paying attention to them. Like how come you're there for your kid? How come how do you how are you patient enough to be there for your kids? You know what I mean? It was little questions that I always like, damn, like and a lot of stuff that I would observe and learn from as I saw the dads, like, oh, situations, right? And for me, a lot of my learning came from the streets. It came from me learning them for myself. Um, my dad was never there for me. How to talk, how to read, write. Teachers would teach me that. English, I practiced it on my own, in my class, in my school. Um, Anything sports related, it was through my coaches, Coach Espinosa, Coach Roger's dad, a bunch of coaches that I had. Um, Poblano, one of my coaches that I had for high school for football. Calderon. It was, I mean, I picked a little bit from everybody, from all my male role models. That I was like, damn, like that's what's up. Uh, uh, Given my dad was never there to teach me about cars, to teach us all, the way that I learned how to do stuff about cars is by even to drive. You know what I mean? My brother was doing his own thing. My sister was doing her own thing. She left town, so I had to teach myself how to drive. Like, it wasn't like, oh, you know what I mean? My dad's gonna take me and we're gonna go get into driver's ed. Like, nah, it was more in the streets. I had to learn the streets or whatever. As time went on, I felt the pain that my dad would cause me, or the pain that it would cause me of just thinking of my dad, because I never forgave him. I hated him. You know what I mean? I was that fucking close. Like, I feel like I hated him. I resented him. I was like, damn, what a piece of shit father you are. You know what I mean? And so, as life went on, I had relationships, and there were. I mean, it wasn't just like, oh, 2 week relationship. There were serious relationships at that time being, and in other relationships or whatever, and I never let that go. I was like, I'm never gonna have. I would ask myself when I would be with a woman or whatever. I'd be like, is she the one? Is Can she take care of my son? Can she hold it down? Can my son be happy there? You know what I mean? And I never found that person until I found Claudia. I was like, esta mujer. I was like, she's something else. Like, and she really is the. She was the indicated one for me to have kids with, right? And I'm so blessed for that. I am very blessed for that. And so when Father's Day comes around, when Father's Day comes around, I get mixed feelings. I get emotional because that those moments come. You know what I mean? That memory that I just told you guys comes back to life, and I remember being that little kid in the wall and just not knowing what was going on, not knowing that my life was gonna change, not knowing that this man was gonna walk out of our lives, and but then it's like a good thing, you know what I mean? Like I turned all that hate that I had towards my dad, and I've tried several times to go in and talk. Well, hopefully this didn't cut off a lot of the things that I said, but as days approach like this, as Father's Day comes around, um, I do think, you know what I mean? Well, I do thank life for what it did give me, and I appreciate that man. Although he didn't do much, but little does he know that I used all that negativity that I had, all that hate that I had towards him, to become a better person, to become a better man, a better father for my kids. I learned what not to do from him. I learned that my son and my daughter are gonna need me, and even if it's like special events, even if it's just a basketball game, even if it's just to give them attention while they learn while they're just playing around, just by staring at them, it's such it's such a good thing to do. You know what I mean? I think, like, what would I like from my dad? You know what I mean? I taught myself to think this way. Like, if I was still a kid, what would I want my dad to do for me? And so, whatever my dad didn't do for me, I try to do for my kids. I try to be there for them. I try to teach them things that they're gonna need in life. Help them in school. Help them with their homework. Pay attention to them when they just want to talk. And that is something that of course this man didn't teach me, but his absence taught me that. And so when I turned all that negative into positive, it's kind of like finding the silver lining. You know what I mean? And it really helps me out to think like, damn, my life. What if he would have stayed there and he still was beating my mom, or if I had to have been raised by a drunk and someone that doesn't know how to control their emotions, and an abusive father. Like I'm kind of blessed. You know what I mean? But Father's Day is just, it's like I don't look for nothing. You know what I mean? I don't. What I look for is like a self check as a father. You know what I mean? I check myself. Well, what have you been doing for your kids? Have you been playing with them just a little bit? At least, have you been paying attention to what they say? Have you been there for when they need you? And I believe I have. You know what I mean? I've done. I know I have done a way better job than my father has. And with my daughter, it's already been 12 years, and with my son, it's already been 4 years. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? Father's Day is a very emotional day for me. It gets me off guard. It gets me bummed out. It gets me happy. It makes me realize that that it is pretty cool to be a dad, and it is okay that he wasn't around. But it's also great that I am around for my kids. That it's also okay to sacrifice for my kids. For those fathers that are out there that are actually in the kid's life, you know what I mean? That you're there and you pay attention to them, that you talk to them. Thanks for doing a good job. I applaud that. For those fathers that are not only working, but they also take the time to be there with their kids, because there's a lot of fathers that are there, they live there, or they're around, or they pay their child support. But if you don't spend time with those kids, you're doing something wrong. You have to be there. You have to. Hey, what's going on? How's school? How's it going? Oh, you want to play? Okay, let's play. Okay, I'm listening. Listen to them. Although they rant and talk and yell, you have to listen to them. Study them. That shit's the world, trust me. To those kids that have a dad, and your dad's freaking awesome, go hug him, kiss him, tell him that you love him. For those kids that don't have a father, trust me, it'll be okay. Just turn all that negative into positive. Okay? You're worth it. You're gonna be okay.